Good morning. I'm Dr. Steve Cliff. I'm Deputy Administrator at the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. Thank you everyone here with us today at the US DOT headquarters or those watching online. We're glad that you joined us today for this important announcement. I would also like to recognize Representative Debbie Dingell from Michigan here in our audience. The Congresswoman is a champion for American auto workers. Welcome, Congresswoman. In 1975, Congress enacted the Corporate Average Fuel Economy Program, which drove automakers to develop innovative solutions to improve fuel economy. Today, we are announcing new standards that will spur innovation, make our country more energy independent, strengthen our national security, and save American families money at the pump. I am honored to introduce the Secretary of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg. The microphone still works, so the show must go on. For today's announcement, the Secretary, as you know, is a fierce champion for American families and has provided leadership and inspiration for our team as we have worked to develop these important standards. Mr. Secretary, welcome.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you. Good morning. Welcome to our light show. And really pleased to be hosting you here at the Department of Transportation, and so pleased with today's announcement. It was almost 5 decades ago, during President Gerald Ford's administration, that DOT introduced those first ever CAFE standards, as Steve mentioned. Started in the wake of the OPEC oil crisis, because our predecessors knew that better fuel efficiency meant reducing people's pain at the pump, and that it would reduce our dependence as a country on foreign oil. And today, there we go. As you walk, you may have seen as you came in, when you come down the hall in this atrium of this wonderful headquarters we have, you pass the photos of previous transportation secretaries, Democrats and Republicans, who advanced CAFE standards further. So what we're doing today is taking the next step in that ongoing journey of pushing forward as far as technology can take us, with faith in American innovators and workers, and with an understanding of how important the cost of transportation is to families and to our country. Today's news means real relief and benefit for families across America, and it wouldn't have been possible without all of you. So I want to thank everyone who has had a hand in bringing us to this moment, beginning with President Biden and Vice President Harris, who are so focused on bringing relief to Americans. White House National Climate Advisor Gina McCarthy, who last time we were here was to discuss how to charge your car while it's parked. Today we're talking about the internal combustion side, so I don't get to have as much fun with that, but we're glad you're here because it's always good news when Advisor McCarthy is here. Let me echo the appreciation for Representative Debbie Dingell. We're honored to have you here and so thankful for your work and your commitment to the auto workers, the companies, the industry that powers this country in so many ways. And all of my colleagues here at the department, at NHTSA, Dr. Cliff, who you heard from a moment ago, Ann Carlson, and their whole team, as well as EPA Administrator Michael Regan and their team for collaborating with us as they work their side of the tailpipe emissions issues. I want to thank our friends in the environmental movement for years of hard work to reduce pollution, fight climate change, and protect Americans. To our friends in labor, who are the backbone of our manufacturing and supply chains and transportation systems, thank you for your commitment to high-quality, well-paying jobs in this country. And to our friends in the auto industry, we are so thankful for your partnership, because working together right now, we have a lot of things that we have to face and address and respond to. Safety, making electric vehicles more accessible and affordable for more people, ensuring that you have enough chips and minerals to meet your manufacturing potential in America. But today I'm thanking America's car companies for their hard work and innovation in response to these high standards to improve the fuel economy of their fleets. Today, with all of these key partners represented, we are proud to announce America's new fuel economy standards. Car manufacturers will be required to produce cars, minivans, SUVs, and pickup trucks that get better mileage than ever before. And the benefits are going to be real for drivers across America. Starting in model year 2024, when these standards take effect, Americans buying a new vehicle will spend less on gas than they would have if we hadn't taken this step. And again, this is why presidents of both parties have supported CAFE standards. By setting a high but consistent bar for the industry, the standards have helped to spur the innovative potential of American car companies, which has saved families money, reduced America's consumption of oil by 5 million barrels every single day. Before those CAFE standards started in the 1970s, the average vehicle got about 13 miles per gallon. With the standards we're announcing today, by 2026, the average vehicle will get 49 miles per gallon. And this isn't about only dollars and cents. I would argue this actually connects to important forms of personal and economic freedom and security in this country in at least three ways. First of all, it gives people the freedom to get where they need to go more affordably. When you can afford to get to work every day, when you can afford to bring your family to a movie or an event or something a few counties away, you are better able to do so thanks to the increased affordability that comes with better fuel efficiency. And if somebody can't afford to get to work, or when the cost of the commute means that there's not enough room in that family budget to take the family out to dinner, or even have to rethink visiting family members as often as used to, and these are all real things that are happening to Americans, then life can feel more restricted than it does free. When you can't afford to get to where you need to be, not much else matters. And that has been the hard reality for too many Americans in recent years. In fact, transportation is the second largest cost for American families, only behind housing. Middle-income and low-income households spend almost 20% of their paycheck on transportation. Now, this issue has been building for years. Of course, it is also made worse anytime there is a development or a shock anywhere in the world that disrupts gas prices like what we're seeing right now. And we can take some of the pain out of that by making sure that new cars can go further on less gas, which is exactly what today's announcement will deliver. I won't hit you with too much math, but just a little bit to illustrate this. Today's model year 21 vehicles, the standard is 36 miles per gallon. By 2026, we'll be over 48. So what that means is a 33% gain. It means if you're filling up 4 times a month, that would become 3 times a month by model year 2026 based on those averages. And of course, that would save a typical American household hundreds of dollars. So it's a win for every driver in America, but I would note it is a particularly big win for drivers in rural areas where residents cover more distance every day and fill up more frequently. Okay, second, we got to zoom out and talk about what today's progress means for our economic and national security. The freedom of our country to chart its future without being subject to other countries and to the decisions that are being made in the boardrooms of energy companies. For years, we have warned about the dangers of dependence on foreign oil and made significant progress through energy efficiency and ramping up domestic energy production, which is part of why when President Biden made the bold decision to ban Russian oil, our country was better positioned to handle it than many others. So less dependent on foreign oil, and that protects us from shortages at fuel stations. But here's the thing to remember. Even if all of the oil we use in the USA were made in the USA, the price of it is still subject to powers and dynamics outside of the USA, which means that until we achieve a form of energy independence that is based on clean energy created here at home, American citizens will still be vulnerable to wild price hikes like we're seeing right now during Putin's war. Oil prices are determined by global markets, manipulated by cartels and speculators, not determined by U.S. markets alone, and certainly not single-handedly decided by the U.S. government. Now, these challenges are going to continue to remain, and even through those challenges, this administration is undertaking bold actions to help Americans through this painful moment. The President announced yesterday the release of 1 million barrels a day from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve to counteract rising prices. And he will seek to require oil and gas companies sitting on the thousands of approved but unused permits and idle wells on federal land to either start producing or pay a fee. But as we look ahead, we cannot let families' futures or our national economy be decided in oil company boardrooms. Today's rule is going to save 234 billion gallons of fuel by 2050 and move us into a less dependent future. And that brings me to my third and last point, that today is, of course, also about climate change and the freedom of Americans to thrive where they live without the burdens of extreme weather and rising water levels driving them from their homes or destroying their lives, livelihoods, and property. Communities across the country are dealing with increasingly extreme weather, unprecedented heat waves, wildfires, a drought in the west that's lasted longer than the Dust Bowl, rising waters and more powerful hurricanes in the south and east, floods and other threats to agriculture in the Midwest, and more. We estimate that today's rule will prevent 5.5 trillion pounds of carbon dioxide from going into our atmosphere between now and 2050. That is a massive deal. So today is a big step and just one part of an all-of-the-above strategy by the Biden-Harris administration to accelerate our path to cleaner energy and electric vehicles and to lower the cost that American families pay each month. And we are calling on Congress once again to pass the president's plan to do just that, to include tax cuts to make electric vehicles more affordable for more people, which among other things would take, for example, the American-made electric pickup trucks we saw a lot of ads for during the Super Bowl from about $40,000 down into the 20s. We could do that through policy that is available right now. And that's one example of our long-term vision, of which today is a big step in the right direction. So this critical work on CAFE standards puts us in a tradition with the best of those who came before us, and it sets the right course for those we serve today and those who will come after us. And again, I want to thank everybody who did the hard work to make today possible. Dr. Cliff, back to you.
Mr. Secretary, thank you so much for your leadership and steadfast support for our mission and our work here at NHTSA. We appreciate your commitment to our safety mission and are so glad that you could be here today. Thank you. Now I'm pleased to introduce Gina McCarthy, the White House National Climate Advisor. In this role, she coordinates the Biden administration's domestic climate agenda. We have worked closely with her and her team and with the EPA in developing today's rule, and I thank her for her support. Welcome, Advisor McCarthy.
Good morning, everybody. And first, let me thank Steve and Ann and the entire team for all of their incredible work. And, of course, Secretary Buttigieg for always making fun of my Boston accent. For all of your incredible leadership. You know, the lights going out for a second at the beginning reminded me of one of the last times that we've done an event together, which happened to be a parking garage with lots of cars looking at some EV charging stations. And when the secretary got up to give his remarks, there was, you reporters will remember this, there was a pop in the audience because one of the light fixtures blew up, started a fire. All the lights went out. All you could see was the billowing smoke. And this man kept talking the entire time. I don't know whether anyone was listening, but it was a hoot. It just shows, I guess, Indiana strong, right? That's how you just keep moving. It also makes me wonder if he's a jinx, but we'll move on. But really, thanks to everybody, because today is such an exciting day for transportation in America and beyond. Because the transportation sector in America is our largest source of climate pollution and a major contributor to local air quality challenges. And today's actions will help accelerate the transition to cleaner, more efficient transportation, which is an essential step forward if we really want, and we all do, to meet the President's goal of reducing our emissions 50 to 52% below 2005 levels in 2030. And Representative Dingell is well aware about the challenges and the opportunities in our transportation sector that we need to grab today. And that's what this is all about. It is not about pain and suffering. It's about grabbing the future for our industry, for our unions, and for America. That's what we're doing today. Look, today's actions that DOD has taken with these new fuel economy standards really set the stage for sustainable transportation future that opens up incredible opportunities for more high-quality union jobs. Go UAW. Because of the hard work of DOT, these standards will help us stay on track to achieve true energy independence. Since 1975, the CAFE program has reduced American oil consumption by roughly 5 billion barrels a day. And better fuel economy is going to continue to reduce our reliance on foreign oil and protect families from future price spikes, which of course is top of mind today as we deal with the impacts from Putin's war. And as the President so clearly stated yesterday, ultimately, we need to reduce our reliance on our dependence on oil altogether. We need to choose long-term energy security over energy and climate vulnerability. This is a step forward, a significant step forward in that direction. And these standards will have an incredibly positive impact on everyday Americans and their lives, their families, their communities. They'll clean up the air we breathe. They'll make our neighborhoods healthier. They will provide relief, especially to low-income communities and communities of color whose health and whose livelihoods are disproportionately impacted by dirty diesel exhaust. This will help families, no matter whether you're in an urban area or a rural community. And better fuel efficiency will save drivers money at the pump, with cars going further on less gasoline and diesel. So today's announcement, we know, is just one pillar of President Biden's strategy for American leadership on clean cars of the future, but is an important first step. In the past year, the President has rallied American automakers and auto workers behind a national goal of 50% electric vehicle sales by 2030. And we're paving the way by building out a national network of 500,000 electric vehicle charging stations, both in our urban and rural communities, with funds secured by the President's magnificent, historic bipartisan infrastructure law. And through the President's Made in America policies, we are spurring investments in manufacturing and in building our clean transportation future right here in the United States of America. And again, that means good paying union jobs. That means union jobs building more fuel-efficient electric vehicles and the infrastructure that powers them. There's so much excitement right now across the auto industry so that we can lead on the transition to an all-electric, zero-emission transportation future. And today's new fuel efficiency standards will add even more momentum while we're delivering near-term benefits for our families and for our neighborhoods. And this is, again, a big step for DOT. And I have to thank them again for all of their work across the administration as we celebrate the progress that we have available to us today and grab that. All of our agencies are working hard to develop the next round of ambitious climate-forward standards as we move forward, especially DOT in year 2027 and beyond. They're already moving forward to see what comes next, how we send the signal to the American people that we're working for them, and how we send a signal to the unions and the workers that they will not just have a job, they're going to have a career moving forward, because we have work to do and we're going to get it done together. The President is committed to delivering the technologies of the future. He's committed to cleaner air for our communities. He's committed that everyday people will save money as we move forward, and we will become energy independent. That's why today's announcement is all about, and I could not be excited to see what's coming on the road ahead, pun intended. Thank you very much.
Advisor McCarthy, thank you so much. Your work at EPA and now at the White House have placed our country at the forefront of environmental protection, responsibility, and innovation. I personally appreciate your wise counsel and guidance as we all work together to ensure we deliver on the Biden-Harris administration climate priorities. The CAFE standards are the product of thousands of hours of hard work by our incredible career employees at NHTSA. Our chief counsel, and my partner in crime, Ann Carlson, and I have worked very closely with the team over the last year, and we've been inspired by their dedication to serving the American people. I invite Ann to share a few words on the CAFE team and NHTSA's work on this important rule. Ann.
Thank you, Dr. Cliff. I was going to call you my partner in crime, too, but you stole my line. It's okay. And Mr. Secretary, thank you so much for your leadership and your support, your commitment to environmental justice, and to making transportation more affordable. And Advisor Gina McCarthy, you've been our leader on the CARS team. Thank you so much for all your leadership and all you've done for the environment over your incredible career. I want to take time to recognize two groups of people who are heroes in this monumental effort. Those two groups include members of the public who have supported strong fuel economy standards and our CAFE team at NHTSA, DOT, and the Volpe Center. Let me start with the public. Since announcing the proposed standards last fall, NHTSA reviewed and received 1,636 public comments, 693 attachments provided by the public, and 67,256 letters. We also held a virtual public hearing where we heard from about 100 speakers. Put aside for a moment the work that it took for NHTSA's career employees to review every single public comment, thoughtfully consider all the varied viewpoints and arguments, and respond to them while drafting the final rule. I want to focus right now on the numerous speakers we heard from at our virtual hearing on October 13th, especially those who volunteered their voices, who don't work for organizations but came to speak to us because of the passion and commitment they feel about environmental issues and about climate change, to make sure we do the right thing. From across the country, from Albuquerque, New Mexico, to Atlanta, Georgia, to Sheboygan, Michigan, to a person, those individuals spoke with a unified voice. And the message we heard loudly and clearly was that we need to do what is right to protect not just ourselves, but our children, one of my children is in the audience today, and our grandchildren, and all the future generations to come. We heard from a Salt Lake City doctor who talked about the need to clean up air pollution to prevent asthma, COPD, and other respiratory ailments, which stronger fuel standards would do. We heard from a Franciscan nun from Kansas who urged us to address racial and environmental justice by adopting stringent fuel economy standards. A school nurse from Colorado urged us to act because the poor air quality in her state often makes it unsafe for kids to play outside. A 75-year-old disabled Vietnam veteran and farmer from Iowa told us about how climate change is harming his ability to grow crops and is making the weather in his state more volatile. My colleagues and I, including Dr. Cliff, were struck by the passion, the honesty, and the commitment of these people from all over the country and from all walks of life. We listened to their voices and were not only touched by their comments, but were reminded about why we are doing this work and about how important it is. The second group of heroes is the NHTSA, DOT, and Volpe professionals who made this rule happen. We have a team of the most sophisticated engineers, economists, automotive specialists, and lawyers, and yes, I love the lawyers, imaginable. It's hard to describe the work they've done over the past year to put this rule together and some of the obstacles they faced, including a court order that was then reversed that required us to do all kinds of additional work. It's not just that they're brilliant and sophisticated, they are. It's also that they display the most extraordinary dedication to this work under remarkably trying circumstances. The political leadership provides guidance and support, but it's the career staff who do a lot of the heavy lifting. Timothy Noah, who writes for the New Republic, recently wrote an article called "Washington is Not a Swamp." I commend it to you if you haven't read it, about the dedicated people who work for the federal government. He calls them the ask-nots, in memory of President John F. Kennedy's inaugural plea. Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. He said in his article about the ask-nots that as a tribe, ask-nots are upright, kind, capable, and public-spirited. I can vouch for the ask-nots who have worked on the CAFE team. They are upright, kind, capable, and public-spirited. But they are even more. They are professional, dedicated, and extraordinarily hardworking, and I'm very happy that a number of them are in the room today. We could not do this work without them. I thank each and every member of the CAFE team who have been so extraordinary since the day Steve and I walked in the virtual door at NHTSA. These standards are a win for the American people. As the Secretary said, we can be more energy independent, we can strengthen our national security, we can reduce pollution, and we can put more money in Americans' pockets. That's good for everyone. We are very proud of our work on these new fuel economy standards, and we will continue to advance policies here at NHTSA that promote environmental justice, address longstanding equity issues, make life more affordable, and increase safety. And before turning the podium back to Dr. Cliff, I just want to comment on his remarkable leadership. Since the day he walked in the virtual door, he has been just a remarkable leader at NHTSA. I think anybody who's been at NHTSA can attest to that. And he's also been a remarkable friend and colleague to me. Steve, back to you.
Anne, thank you so much. You know I feel the same way and very, very much appreciate how your leadership has also inspired the team. I would like to personally say thank you to every NHTSA employee who contributed to the drafting of this new fuel economy standards. Your contributions were invaluable. President Biden tasked us with revisiting CAFE on his very first day in office. That is how much he is committed to our climate goals, public health, energy security and independence, and a clean energy future. Thanks to the standards we're announcing today, we'll reduce pollution by about the same amount as if we took 5 million of today's cars off the road. And we'll do this with American ingenuity. We as a nation have never shied away from a challenge, and I know we can meet this one too, exceed it even. In doing so, we build a cleaner, safer, healthier, and more secure future for our children. That marks the end of today's event. For those interested in learning more, please visit our website where the new rule will be available. It's at nhtsa.gov/cafe. And for members of the media in attendance, please email nhtsamedia@dot.gov if you have questions. Again, that's nhtsamedia@dot.gov. Thank you very much.